I'm Rebecca, and today we're going to show you how to make a cake that looks like a Girl Scout Caramel Delight cookie. If you live somewhere else, it might be called a Samoa, but regardless, it's this one. My family is pretty heavily involved in Girl Scouts, so we usually make this cake for a pretty large group. So we like to make it using the 14-inch cake pan, but you don't have to make it that big. You can make it any size you want. Where the video is going to start, we're going to have already baked the cake because we have confidence that you can bake a cake from a mix. It's really more about the decoration than about the flavor with this tutorial. And it's also going to be on a cake board, which is really just a piece of cardboard that you put a cake on. And you can buy them, like this one is bought, or you can just cut a cardboard circle out of a piece of cardboard and cover it with aluminum foil. I was kind of sick while we were trying to film this, so my mom is actually the one doing most of the handling of the cake and the talking for that portion, just in case anyone is confused. But with that, let's hand it over to her.
Now it's time to take our cake on the cake board and make it look like a Caramel Delight cookie. It's helpful to have an example of a cookie or the picture on the box to use as a guide when you're cutting the cake. What you may not have noticed is that a Caramel Delight is not a circle, it's actually a hexagon. So the first thing we do is cut the cake into a hexagon shape. A hexagon has 6 sides that are about even. Then you're going to cut the hole in the center. Then you also need to sort of slope the sides so it has the right shape. So the normal cookie doesn't go flat and then right off, so you have to angle the edges.
Take a seat, young, and stay around for a spell. I got a little story that I wanted to tell. Now would you stick around, take a listen and see?
You don't have to worry about getting it totally perfect because you're going to frost it, and the frosting will cover up a lot. If your cake is too tall, proportionally, you can also just shorten the cake by cutting across the top of the cake. But I think this one looks pretty good. So now we frost the cake, and we just use German chocolate frosting, and commercial frosting is fine. Before I put the frosting on, to give the cake a little bit more caramel taste, I take some caramel ice cream topping, and I just squeeze it all over the cake. And that just sits under the German chocolate frosting and gives the cake a little more caramel flavor.
Things were always grand as can be. Now a streets paved with golden gems glimmering, lighting up the skies and new this town shimmering. Waiting on nobody cause we got stuff to do, cause we through with the new. We're talking old school, the Chester we back in the days was the promos that time. Imagine all the great singing together in rhymes and listening together on old gramophones and on roller radios. It was a hell of a time. Let me tell you, young and man, the old days were grand. You walked down through the beach and land your who's in the sand. Have no worries, always grand as can be. So everybody take a listen, open your eyes and see.
So the next step is to put toasted coconut on the cake. So all you do is you buy some coconut flakes and you toast them. There's different ways to toast coconut. You can do it in the oven. I usually just do it on the stovetop, and you have to stir it constantly. You get it the right color. You'll know the color's right when it kind of looks like the color on the outside of a Caramel Delight cookie. So now we have our bowl of toasted coconut, and we're just going to put the coconut all over the frosting to give the cake more dimension and make it look more like the cookie.
I've never felt before.
To make the frosting that you use to make the stripes on the Caramel Delight cake. It's a really simple warm frosting. You take a cup of sugar, a half a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, 1 stick of butter, and 1/3 of a cup of evaporated milk. You put it in a saucepan, bring it to a low boil. You simmer for 2 to 3 minutes. You take it off the heat and add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. For the Caramel Delight cake, you probably need a single recipe of this frosting. So now our frosting is ready. After it simmered for 2 to 3 minutes, I added a teaspoon of vanilla once I turned the heat off, and now we're going to put the frosting on the cake. The cake is supposed to have 5 stripes of chocolate. one that goes point to point, 2 on each side, and then 2 in between. It's kind of hard to get it on well. It's kind of a drippy mess, but here goes.
The name of the game, swinging like crazy, everyone goes insane. It's like a game, except everyone wins. Why isn't music?
That looks pretty good. Now we're going to wait for the frosting to thicken up a little bit before we do the inside edge and the outer edges. So next, all you do is you take a damp paper towel and you clean up all the edges so that you'll have a nice clean edge in order to put the last bit of chocolate frosting on. So I cleaned up the edges of the cake a little bit, and now we're going to do the last bit of chocolate around the outside edge and around the inside edge. I've waited till our chocolate frosting is thickened up. Now I'm putting it in a frosting bag. You could also use a strong Ziploc bag and just cut off the corner if you don't use frosting bags.
Anymore, my God, everything is such a bore now. Everything's the same over again, with all the hipping and hopping and the bipping and the bobbing. They don't know what the jazz is all about. You see, you look back at your days, I'm sure you will experience it sometime, cause when you grow.
So there you have it, there's our caramel delight cake. If you like this video, we also have one where we show you how to make a cake that looks like a Thin Mint. Thanks for watching.
Everything seems golden, new generation, well, alright.